Barack Obama will be the 44th U.S. president to enter the White House after a sweeping victory.
Find the perfect solution, the perfect way to tell you to.
That is where you've always been wrong about me, Lex. I'm as human as anyone. I love, I get scared. I wake up every morning and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and I try to make the best choices I can.
Chase hope, the perfect way to get you to better understand what hope is as a function. Hope would be in the trenches with you. Hope would be at your highest moments. Hope would be in the middle ground where you feel like nothing is happening. Stop waiting for God to save you. Hope would always be there, but it was up to the individual to believe, one, in hope, but then also to utilize hope. You see, the reason in which hope ignites the spark. In the process of trying to find hope, I lost it. I started this video with the simple idea to write about hope, explore what hope was and what hope meant, and how hope was radical and how it can also often be divisive. And the more I learned about hope, the more interested I got, until I found myself in a hope rabbit hole, trying to better understand the merit of what hope was and get the perfect answer for this video. Find the perfect solution, the perfect way to tell you to chase hope, the perfect way to get you to better understand what hope is as a function. And all the same in that process, I lost hope. I stopped working out. I stopped chasing the goals I was after. I stopped dedicating my time to the correct things, or what I perceived as the correct things at the same time. I started eating worse. I started feeling worse. I started trying to simply just find ways to exist. It's all contradictory, right? It's all a part of what it means to exist, to be human. To tell you this is to tell you that people are human, people are raw and full of emotion, and often fall before they can even hope to climb. And it's all very natural and a part of the process. People are deeply flawed. I am deeply flawed because we are all human, because I am human. But in this, just the same, it is so human to wish for hope. It is so human to chase what hope is. So let's talk about it. Superman, Zohran, and Kuma, the controversy of hope. You know, Zohran Mamdani winning the Democratic primary reminded me of something I hadn't experienced in a long time, probably since I was a kid. The same feeling has been surrounding me as I continue through the most recent episodes of One Piece. Even more recently, that feeling came to me after watching Superman. Hope is not a thing my generation has really been welcomed with, not for a long time. Hope, well, hope is controversial. Hope, hope is radical. When the world doesn't make sense, I start to ask why. And very often the world doesn't make sense. And so I keep finding myself asking why. Hi, I'm Cam Hayden, and today I want to ask, why aren't you hopeful? Kuma believed in hope. Superman stood for hope, and Zoran, for many, was tangible hope. For me, it's always sort of felt as though hope was controversial. I mean, look at the elephant in the room. A black man raised in the South isn't exactly a category many people would pick when building out their character at the start of a game. I'm sorry, I had to say it because of the South Park game that used to change your difficulty depending on your skin tone. Does anybody remember that? The last time I saw a hopeful world was around the time Obama became president. If I'm being honest, I don't even fully remember that experience. I remember Michael Jackson dying more than I remember that, and I wish I was joking. I've had hope on my mind for quite some time, and I'd have to imagine I'm not alone in such thinking. At the same time, though, it always felt like you had to be pretty guarded with your hope. I remember the excitement within me at being able to take part in my first election. Bernie was on the ballot. My friends and I were super curious about this guy and everything he spoke of. Universal health care and free education for all. Felt like the first politician I'd seen who wanted to actually help the working class. The excitement was derailed, though. Somehow, I had grown up in the same timeline that allowed one of the Democratic nominees to be Bernie Sanders and one of the Republican nominees to be Donald Trump. The guy from TV that everyone knew was rich and worked on a TV show doing something that let him fire people. Listen, I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't know that much about the man at the time. I knew one of two things. One, he was in one of the Home Alone movies. And two, he was probably racist because of the whole situation with the Central Park Five. That's all I had going forward. I was, of course, passionate, but honestly, if the Boondocks and my studies had taught me anything about the American public, it was that our education system was deeply underfunded, and if R. Kelly was still running around free with people defending him, that rich white guy I barely knew much about was probably gonna win if they didn't have someone just as out of left field running against him. So just like everyone else, I watched the people get excited. I advocated for Bernie. I cheered as more people got excited about him. Then I saw what the DNC truly is. See, in the back of my mind, the entire time, I couldn't shake that being hopeful was misplaced. So, like I said, I did a lot of research for this. And one of the main things we need to talk about before we talk about anything else is what is hope. Looking time and time again, I wanted to pick something that really grasped my attention, something that really truly felt like what I believed hope to be. And that is how I found myself stumbling upon the works of Ernest Bloch, quite specifically the principles of hope. And I found myself honed in on this particular quote. True hope is not at all credulous. On the contrary, it is the opposite of security. It does not believe in a happy end. It is critical, militant, and knows that without human effort, no good will come. Now, in learning about Ernest Bloch, I also learned that a lot of people within his own political circle casted him as someone who touted hope as if it was some sort of religion. And that came in contradiction with the principles that he and his own political ideals was following. And so obviously it led to ostracization. And people are still to this day not as much, but critical of the work that he has done. But within this, it made me think of the phrase faith without works is dead. Bloch spent a lot of time instructing that what hope wasn't some ambient and unmoving object. What hope was to Bloch was something that was in motion, something that was always and often present with you, something that was unmoving and would always be there. Hope would be in the trenches with you. Hope would be at your highest moments. Hope would be in the middle ground where you feel like nothing is happening. Hope would always be there, but it was up to the individual to believe one in hope, but then also to utilize hope. You see, the reason in which hope ignites the spark within my own mind so much is because I believe that hope is radical. I believe that hope is one of the guiding forces that allows people to move toward a better tomorrow. But much like Bloch, I've never really seen hope as something that you can just let casually ride beside you. I had always felt as though hope required action from you as a person individually, but also from the masses, from the people as a whole, from the community, from all of us. So, in understanding the way that I felt about hope, I continued to read Bloch's work and settled in on another quote that I have had been reminded of. And it came from a friend that read it in a book, and I cannot for the life of me remember what book it was, but whatever book it is, we will figure it out one day. I think it was a parable of the sower, but don't hold me to that. And the simple quote was, "Stop waiting for God to save you." I think that it may very well be true that the way in which Bloch interacted with hope was on something of a religious basis. But just as that could be true, I also saw that you don't find hope in stagnation. Even if hope is with you, you cannot keep waiting for hope to come to you. You have to come to it. You cannot cast off hope in your lowest of places and expect something to change. You need hope in those moments. And even at your highest moments, the reason that hope is constantly with you is because you needed hope to get there. You needed hope to continue from there, and you need hope the moments after. Have I firmly settled in on what hope is? No. I don't think that this one definition says fully what hope is. I don't think that there's ever going to be a way to convey clearly to you that hope is a necessary tool in your life. And even if there is, I don't know if there's ever going to be a way to tell people that you need to be actionable for hope to even have a chance of thriving. The thing about all of this is that yes, I lost hope along the road of trying to write about hope, along the lines of watching the newest Superman and feeling hopeful again, and watching Kuma as he tried and tried again, even at the lowest of moments, always hoping. And along the road with the complications that come from Zohran's campaign because of online leftists and online liberals fighting, trying to decide which route is the actual route necessary. All of these things continue to occur. All of these things continue to go on. Kuma never stops running. Superman never stops getting up. Zoran is still in the race. People still have hope that tomorrow can be better, even if some feel their hope is misguided or misplaced. Hope carries on. Hope is there when you decide to get back up after you have fallen, and hope is there even if you never decide to get back up. I think part of why I have struggled to make this video is because I, as a person, deeply believe in the good of others, and that there has to be a way for life to be better. Oftentimes, in my own life and in the life of others, I've experienced that there are walls in the way that will not allow you to simply just calmly believe in hope. Things keep popping up that will test your will, that will test your resolve, and that will test your earnest heart behind hope. And that is the moment in which you, without sounding like I'm doing too much toxic positivity, that is the moment in which you're supposed to drill. That's the moment in which you are supposed to say, I want to continue with hope. I need to find a solution. I need to believe that there can be a better tomorrow. I have to. I think that is the controversy of hope, that you may find yourself too optimistic, too positive, too affirmed in your own beliefs about hope, too ignorant to the changes of people and the wrongs that they may do. Or maybe it's better that you always have that hope. Maybe it's better that more people develop that optimism. Maybe it's better that people are able to see both the negative and the positive of what hope is, of what it takes to chase after hope, of what it takes to hold on to hope. Maybe it's better that hope is controversial. Maybe hope needs to be controversial. As always, if you've made it this far, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.